What's up, everybody? Thralls here once again. I'm Necrotic Nick, and I have an album review for you. So yet another one that came out on the 28th of October that I definitely want to go over because it's been a long time since this band has put out an album, was the newest offering from Defleshed, Grind Over Matter. This comes out on Metal Blade Records again on the 28th of October. This band formed in 1991 in Sweden. This is their sixth full-length overall and their first in 17 years because this band broke up in 2005 and then reformed as soon as last year. And this band is just straight up gnarly death thrash with, I would say, maybe a bit of a grind influence. It's not just the album title. Like, these guys like to play insanely fucking fast. Now, I have been a fan of this band since I heard a song of theirs on a Metal Blade compilation. I think it was Metal Meister way back in, I want to say, the late 90s. It might have been from Under the Blade. But I can't remember if the first one I picked up was Under the Blade or it was Royal Straight Flesh. I don't know. Either way, I became a fan of the band. They are insanely fast, insanely aggressive, and it was really cool to hear them come back. I like the lead-off singles, so I definitely wanted to go over this one. And this, it pretty much is a Defleshed album. This is insanely fast, tight, thrashy. This band is a three-piece, and they are driven by fucking riffs and blast beats and just sheer fucking energy. The first two tracks in here just simply fucking explode. Grind Over Matter and Bent Out of Shape both just kind of exhibit everything that you come to expect from this band, even though they've been gone for 17 years. Blast beats, chuggy riffs, insanely aggressive sounding music. It is played at Mach 10 at almost all times, and it is coupled with some really solid production here done by Lawrence McRory, who also fronts Darkane, and we just went over their last album not too long ago, which was absolutely fucking awesome as well. The guitar tone is really thick, it has a good thrashy tone, but there's also like a little bit of that HM2 sizzle to it, which of course naturally I fucking love. The drums are really tight, very prominent. Everything is well separated, and it is just dined for fucking aggression. This is just an absolutely pummeling listen from start to finish, and that is one of its strengths and also one of its weaknesses. This album is just a bit under 40 minutes, and there are no fucking breaks. And I know I've said that about a lot of albums where it's like, well, yeah, there was like a cool breakdown here and there and like a little bit of atmosphere here and there. This is almost entirely bereft of groove. There are some moments on here that do kind of open it up, and I feel like I'm kind of making excuses already, but honestly, this is just one of the fastest albums I think even this band has done. There's not a single song on here without a blast beat or a thrashy sort of blast on it. There's not a song on here that doesn't have insanely fast machine gun guitars or triplet chugs. There is not a song on here that doesn't involve like high-speed fucking vocals that are snarled at sort of like mid-range between thrash and death metal. This is just them kind of going for it. And it is all done at a bullet-trained pace where there is not much room between tracks ending and beginning to even catch your fucking breath. Like, there's a couple of moments in here where it's a little bit atmospheric to open it up, and then it is right back to the insanely fast, thrashy, death metal fucking wheelhouse that this band fucking lives in. And it isn't to say that there are some moments on here that are a little bit different, like maybe 2 or 3 of them on this entire 11-track album. But it isn't just the pacing in this that sort of helps and hurts this. It's also the riff construction. A lot of these riffs are kind of in the same vein, like a lot of just machine gun chugs, triplet chugs, with a nice little like cool melodic tag at the end of it. And that is essentially most of this album. Now, I'm all for them repeating really cool tropes, and again, this album thrives on intensity. There are no fucking breaks on here, but at the same time, a little bit of variety and not putting songs that are so similar to one another back to back would kind of help a little bit. But the problem is, even rearranging this, you would still have a fair amount of tracks that sound similar. While songs like One Grave to Fit Them All and Behind Dead Eyes kind of open it up a little bit, you know, kind of break away from just blast beats. I'm not saying there aren't blast beats on there. They do offer some different dynamics. Behind Dead Eyes actually kind of has like this carcass-like groove to it. And again, it kind of slows down not only the rhythm, but sort of the riffs. They give them a little bit more time to breathe, because I would say this dude's fucking pick hand moves like fucking hummingbird wings. Like, he is going fucking fast at all times. And again, I appreciate that. The energy on here is fucking dined at all times. There is not a moment on here where I'd say they are not trying to write the most aggressive, fast-moving fucking songs they possibly can, and maybe even trying to make up time for like 17 years off. But again, a little bit of groove or different dynamics to sort of, you know, keep it mixed up a little bit so things don't get stale. One Grave to Fit Them All actually has, I guess what I would consider like the chorus riff is a little bit more groovy. Like it's kind of a high energy bolt thrower sort of feel, albeit played with like more thrash aggression. But it does break it up a little bit. But when you get down to the middle of the album, a lot of the songs start running together. And granted, it's kind of a cool sameness that I find on here. Like, I'm not super complaining about how high energy and fucking just insane this is, but at the same time, the songs are kind of hard to differentiate from one another unless you pick out very specific things. Like on songs like Blood Well Spent and Last Nail in the Coffin, you do have like a little bit of an atmospheric break before the inevitable beatdown starts. Maybe like it's just a movie quote or a little bit of like, you know, just creepy atmosphere before it, but it's enough to break up the songs because, again, these are one after the other and they are peppering you with the same stuff that you heard probably on the track before that. And Last Nail in the Coffin and Heavy Hall in particular do have some cool gang vocals, which honestly I could have used a little bit more of. This definitely favors mostly death metal, I would say, just in terms of the aggression, the blast beats, all that. But some of that thrashy energy I would like to hear come out more, and gang vocals have always kind of screamed more of like a hardcore and thrash and sort of crossover thing, and on Heavy Hall I think they work in particular. It kind of gives that song in particular like a more hardcore fucking punch in the face. It has a nice stompier chorus before it inevitably goes back to the blast beats. I don't know, it kind of just makes it stand out a little bit, and again, that's kind of like the issue on here is a lot of songs just don't seem to stand out. Now that's where it kind of hurts it, but where it helps the album is I like this dimed aggression on here. Like, it's just so fucking brimming with hostility and energy. It is hard not to bang your head, albeit very fast, to all these tracks. Like, all these tracks pack just nasty intensity to them. This is like the death metal equivalent to a Razor album, like namely Shotgun Justice. Shotgun Justice, there are very few dynamics, but there is always energy. Nothing on there seems as though it was just, you know, like sort of dialed in, like, I just wasn't feeling it. Like, no, like everything is just ridiculously chuggy. The drums are fucking absolutely unhinged. The vocalist sounds like he's losing his goddamn mind. A lot of that is very similar to this album. All of those elements are on this album as well, albeit just mixed with like some more death metal influences or like death thrash like Solstice or even Vader. And even maybe some more death thrash bands that sort of border more on melodic death metal like The Haunted and Hatesphere. Also, I know as much as this band probably wants to keep it raw and fucking tight and just, you know, primal as fuck, maybe a few like sort of lead-ish harmonies on here or melodies just to sort of layer out the guitars a bit might have helped. Because this band kind of has one gear. It is chug and fucking blast, and again, they're exceptionally good at it. It's just there needs to be like a little bit more in here to really hold my attention. Ultimately, I was kind of torn on this album. Like, again, I love the dimed energy, but I also didn't like the fact that it was so one gear it became very repetitive. There are tons of bands out there that I listen to that kind of have one gear, but generally, like Defleshed, they make up for it with just doing what they do exceptionally well, and I think that Defleshed did that too. Maybe after coming back after 17 years, they kind of wanted to just reestablish themselves and do what they did well, but at the same time, they kind of got locked in a fucking box here, and they didn't want to venture out too much and try to change around things too much, which I totally get. Like, you've been gone for a long time, and you want to get back to, like, you know, reestablishing your brand. You don't want to dick around too much. Playing it relatively safe might be the way to go here, just because, you know, fans are fickle. Like, if you come out with something that is decidedly removed from what you did before, you are taking a bit of a chance there, and you might end up alienating your fan base. And I would say Defleshed pretty much delivered on everything that they're all about. Like this, again, tight, thrashy, hyper fucking aggressive, fast as fuck, and pretty fucking fun. Like, the song titles are fun. I think the sort of like over-the-top energy on here is a lot of fun, and I think that kind of makes up at least a bit for the lack of dynamics and, you know, a bit of the repetition on here. It isn't as though they're repeating a bad thing, they're repeating a really good thing, a thing that I like. It's just, I feel like I might have gotten a little bit too much of it. But overall, I am going to give this 3 stars. I did really enjoy this. This was a lot of fun to listen to. Again, it was very repetitive, but it did repeat the things that I liked, so I can't really complain that much. Maybe on the next one, they'll kind of branch out a little bit more, like a few more groovy sections would really help break up the songs a bit more. More songs like Behind Dead Eyes, I think that is a really fucking awesome standout in here, and it still packs all of their sound in there, but it also employs just some different dynamics. But for what this album doesn't have in a lot of dynamics, it makes up for in relentless energy. This is one of the fastest albums I've listened to this year, and it has some of the most aggressive fucking riffing on here. Again, it is just non-stop machine gun chugs and fucking triplets, and it's just insanely riffy as fuck. It's like going to your favorite restaurant and getting that same meal that you were always happy to fucking get every time. Except in this case, it's like fucking a cannon filled with meat and potatoes that is fucking just shot directly in your face. I dig this. This is a lot of fucking fun. I strongly recommend it. If you're a fan of Defleshed, you will probably really fucking like this. And if you're a fan of just super aggressive and really, really fucking fast death thrash, definitely check this out. This was pretty fucking fun. So if you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, subscribe, because we do stuff like this all the time. We are also on Patreon. If you'd like to help us out there, there's a link down below to thrallsmiddle.com, where there is a link to our Patreon, as well as a link to our store if you'd like to get one of our kick-ass shirts, and maybe listen to one of our episodes where you don't have to look at our ugly mugs. That's probably preferable. And of course, thank you all much for liking, subscribing, commenting, all that shit. We appreciate the ever-living fuck out of all that. It's absolutely amazing to see this channel grow. I know I say the same shit after every video, but I want to make sure that I'm always thanking you guys, because you're the reason why we're successful. That's the bottom line. Without you, we are, as Shred says, navel-lint. I don't know why he's just kind of hones in on navel-lint, but that's a thing that he says. But yeah, we look forward to bringing you all sorts of killer stuff in the future, and yeah, it should be a lot of fucking fun. So once again, thank you all so much for watching, and we will catch you later.